subjective 2b, historical documents that helped shape the nation that we are today. Now, of course, in class we reviewed a few other documents that are very important to the concept of our government, the idea that the people rule, like the Magna Carta, but we don't have time to talk about that on here. Let's get to the basics of what you need to know. So, the first one is to understand what the charters of the Virginia Company of London did. Now, you have to remember that at this time period, when the age of exploration, when Europeans were coming over to the New World, particularly our historical brethren, England, that these people were crossing treacherous waters, many months' journeys across the Atlantic Ocean to get here. So to encourage exploration, the English government would do what we call the Charters of the Virginia Company of London. And what it did was, when these, generally men, came to the New World, like in Jamestown, these charters gave them the power to create a council, the power to appoint a governor, and they then basically set up their own system of government. However, the key thing to know about what these charters did was that it basically granted the right of Englishmen to the colonists. Now, why is that important? Well, first of all, we are Virginia, and we do have the first permanent English settlement, Jamestown, here, south of Williamsburg. And so it's important to know that when those people came over to Jamestown, they were not looked upon as like immigrants or traders or people who left the English country, but they were people who were given the same rights, supposedly, as people who lived in England. Okay, so equality. The Virginia Declaration of Rights. What do you need to know about this document? Well, this document you don't need to know, but it was created by Virginia's own George Mason. Of course, there's a university named after him up in Fairfax County. He created this document, and it basically served as a model for the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States. So we give Virginia credit, of course this is Virginia history, for helping kind of create the blueprint for what later became the Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments in the U.S. Constitution. Again, this document basically stated rights like the free speech, freedom of religion, free press, stuff like that, that wasn't originally included in our Constitution, but later it was added as part of the compromise between the two first political parties, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. The Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom. This was created by Thomas Jefferson, again, Virginia's own, and this established the idea, as the name it says itself, religious freedom, established the idea of freedom of religious beliefs and opinions. Jefferson was a major proponent of the idea, as I talked about in the First Amendment, between separation of church and state, meaning the government and religion should not be involved, and one of our colonies, Virginia, helped lead the way in that idea of granting equality and the idea that the government cannot control what you believe. That is something Jefferson is very proud of, and something on his tombstone today, one of his greatest contributions, along with the Declaration of Independence, and of course, founding the University of Virginia. The Declaration of Independence, speaking of Jefferson, this is important. Jefferson, again, was the author. He was influenced by the Declaration of Rights, George Mason, and fellow other compatriots in the Virginia General Assembly. Jefferson argued in the Declaration that all citizens have rights that cannot be taken away. That goes back to the philosopher John Locke, who believed that all people were guaranteed the right of life, liberty, and property. This was adjusted, of course, to ours. The Declaration, first of all, what you need to know about it, if you already didn't learn in 6th grade with U.S. History 1, that it declared and it stated our grievances against the King of Great Britain, England. Okay? So it listed the grievances. Grievances are complaints, things you have complained about and that you're angry about, some type of rule. Taxation without representation would be one of those examples. Declare the colonies independent from Great Britain. You often see this, Join or Die. It's our first political cartoon by Benjamin Franklin that ran in the Philadelphia Gazette. But it's the idea that the colonies needed to unite together. We were stronger together than separate. Okay? So we were officially declared independent from Great Britain. Of course, we had to win the war. It affirmed the certain, what we call unalienable rights. Okay? These are what we believe are your God-given rights that all people are born with. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. of course, John Locke believed it was property. It was adjusted because property is kind of included in the idea that people can own their own material goods, including land and property. And it established the idea that all people were equal under the law. Now I have a ... there and an image of slavery to show, and as you've already learned with the 14th Amendment, the 13th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, that this wasn't fully accomplished. It took many hundreds of years later, even if you look at the women's suffrage movement, many, many years later, for all Americans to be kind of treated equally under the law. When this principle originally took place, it was all white male property holders, but again, the Declaration had the bold idea that all people were treated equally under the law. I hope that covered the historical documents that you need to know for CE.2b. Stay tuned for Part 2, CE.2b, the Articles of Confederation. I made a separate PowerPoint for that one. I hope this helped you.